Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon. Because of Jared.
Never gets old.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you're listening to our show, Guitar Knobs podcast.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I love doing this. And I love doing this with these couple of jugheads here, too.
Oh.
Speaking of jugheads, there's a soft intro for you. Who do we have on the line right now?
Is that my cue?
That's it.
Yeah.
Post-insult
My name is
introduction.
Steve. My name is Steve.
Steve.
Long time listener, first time caller.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So the reluctant Mr. Steve Demedash is at this point in time unwilling to show his flying colors of Demedash Effects. And we're really thrilled that he's on the show again. He's been on before. Tony is right now going to check what episode that was.
I will check on you.
Because I can't keep track of them all. But in the meantime, while Superbrain Wonderhead is looking that up, we are going to have a fantastic show because Steve has got a lot of things cooking, and it's just been a while since we talked to them. So we want to just hear a little bit about what's going on. Steve is famous for. Go ahead and tell him what you're famous for, Steve.
I love it. I love it.
I make a delay pedal called the T120. I make a chorus analog modulation pedal called the T60, and a fuzz called the Spadola. I've been running a guitar pedal company for about 4 years.
What about the preamp thingamabob?
Preamp? That one's on the back burner right now. I like it, but it's been
out. You've made it. You were known for it. It got a lot of great reviews. Tell them what it is. Just tell them.
The 112 plus preamp.
That's right.
The thing is, it went through a crazy evolution. So from the time it was released to now, it is so different. So I kind of just put the brakes on it because I don't really want to continue making and pushing it until I kind of know what I want to do with it. I might, I don't know. That one.
Some of that is the result of just availability on certain components.
No, it's more the result of experimentation and.
Hey, Dorothy, you got to watch the poppies over there, okay? Will you?
Who's that?
So,
Steve.
Todd, if I might interrupt.
Yes.
That would be episode 154 from December of 2019.
Over
pre-COVID.
That's over 120 episodes ago.
Yes. And speaking of 120, we discussed the Demedash T120.
Yep.
The 112 plus overdrive.
Yep.
And how Steve saved an owl.
That is true. Oh, that's true.
I remember that.
You should. It happened to you.
Well, considering the things I don't remember, I'm happy I remember that. That was nice.
So anyways, go back and listen to that one because it was a pretty fun time. Yes. And we're going to have an even better one this time. How about that? So let's find out what's going on. We got a couple of announcements. That's right. We're going to need to thank Rode Mics for hooking us up with this fantastic audio equipment. The Rodecaster Pro, the Procaster mics, and articulating arms.
All the good stuff comes to us. Thank you.
Indeed, Nick. Indeed. And if you are making content of any kind, I highly suggest you check out Rode. They are making fantastic products for all kinds of content making needs. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to have a channel. If you're just making stuff, even if it's yourself.
What if you make output?
What? You really threw me off there. I was genuinely surprised. I didn't know what to say.
How about a deliverable?
Yeah, do that. Anyway, so thanks, Rode. I also wanted to share a real quick something here. We had, we've had a couple of giveaways as of late.
Yes.
Gave away a lovely hat from Gullet Guitar Co. And
a hat?
I gave away two pouches of Honey Picks Swarm Variety Pack. Those are all handmade picks, so you get a whole a whole sack of them is pretty amazing.
Yes.
If I do say so myself. And we got a little kickback here, and it says so that one of those went to Richard Kendall, and he says. And that was for winning the Honey Picks. He says, "Wow, fantastic! Thank you so much. Just wanted to let you know your podcast is still a small sliver of joy in my sometimes very challenging week. Big hugs to you, Tony and Jared. Hope you're all doing well." Well, thank you so much, Richard.
Yes.
And we truly appreciate your support of our show. And,
Yes, sir.
you know, we used to do giveaways to, you know, just like we'd put it out on Instagram and be like, hey, we're going to do a giveaway. And then it would take an immense amount of work to filter down to people that weren't even listening to the show sometimes, which is, I'm like, no, not doing that. So
Only the true believers.
yeah. So we've got
Right.
great supporters, and so I
Absolutely
say,
we
hey,
do.
if we get anything that we're going to give away, it's going to these people. So that's what we do. And if you're into winning some cool stuff and want to support a great show, that's us. Then do that, and we're going to tell you how to do that at the end. But you can also go to patreon.com/guitarknobs if you want to head us off at the pass. So, anyways. That's that. And let's find out what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to start off with Tanya Belansky sitting right across from me. And then we're going to check in with Steve Demedash up in Winnipeg.
Good city.
Canada.
Good city, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so in my music world this week, I was reminded of how frustrating making nuts can be for guitars.
Oh, yes.
So,
Like the ones that hang off the back when you drive. Oh, guitars.
Yeah.
no, the actual piece that keeps the strings in place up near the tuning machines.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a couple of guitars, and so I the first nut came out okay, except I ended up not being thrilled with the spacing. So I said, nah, it's a start over. So
It's not worth it. If it ain't right, you just do it again.
Just do it again. So I've been bringing in both All Parts and WD sell pre-slotted nuts, which is actually helpful if you're not sure of where you want to put your strings and you have kind of a standard instrument.
ASMR break.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
Gotta get me an IPA. Get me a
So I did that, and I had one, and it was pre-slotted, and I was happy with the string spacing, and then I don't know what I was in a hurry, but as anyone who's made a nut or several nuts know, all it takes is one or two strokes of the file too much, and you're done. So this week, the day that I was doing this,
Where were you fouling the...
in my back on my bench.
No. Not where we... That's not Southern for filing. Where were we fouling?
I thought you were just
No.
thought you had a mini stroke or something.
I mean, where are you like fouling the creation of it? Is it on the radius? Is it the string depth? Is it the string width?
It's the string depth in this case. The nut that I blew was the depth. And that's what I did. And usually I'm kind of more careful. I'll use feeler gauges to kind of stop myself before I do that. And I did that most of the way, and then I restrung it, and then I said, I think I can go just another little bit more. And of course, boom, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
So I stopped, and I decided that I'm either going to take it over to Sean or Chase and just say, do this for me. That's the most for me. And I love doing other things on guitars. I even enjoy doing fret work now.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the nut, I don't know.
It's an art, man.
It is.
There is a lot that goes into making it right.
And anyone,
And even the best of them can mess it up.
Absolutely. Talk to any repair shop or luthier, and there are days. And sometimes it's the material too. So if it just a little bit
You're
soft
doing a
in
bone
one
nut?
spot. Yeah, I always use bone nut.
Now, I have a question about necks.
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a guitar, and like I haven't strung it in a long time. It's probably been years. I put some strings on it, and it seems like the neck's a bit twisted. Is that just cut? Like, is that something you can undo, or is it kind of like when you kind of twist the chassis of a car? It's kind of like you can't really square it back up.
It depends on how badly it's twisted. Generally speaking, if you get a twist, in other words, it's the neck twists in such a way so that it maybe like the lower strings are too high and the upper strings are too low.
It's the upper strings are kind of like touching somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Truth be told, there's only one fix for that, and that is to take out the frets, replane the board, and start over. I mean, that if it's that severe, or buy another neck.
Well, now if you being, because I'm a luthier, but couldn't you sort of like, when you get kicked in the head by a mule and you forget everything, if you get kicked in the head again by the mule and you remember everything. So if you humidified it
for another 5 years
and had it on braces, no,
a twist is really difficult.
All the luthiers are like clawing their faces off right now. But I mean, that's layman's logic. I'm not saying that's what happens. I'm guessing. I don't know.
It depends on what wood it is. It depends on how severe the twist is.
Well, it's a Travis Bean guitar, so.
Oh, is that what? Ew. Yeah, that will never twist because it's aluminum, as we like to say.
Do you guys say aluminium up there, or is it aluminum?
No, that's an English thing.
Yeah, because there's no extra.
Which actually makes sense because like all the elements in that are on the periodic table end in -ium, so it should be aluminium, but that sounds dumb. So what?
Yeah,
it's
anyways, go ahead.
So I mean, yeah, if it's a maple neck. Maple almost never twists, but it can. I guess it depends on how dry the wood is when they cut it, and
The one I'm talking about, it was like a PV EXP that I got in like 2005. So I'm, if it's not the end of the world if it's.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's worth a try. I mean, there are tricks that you can do. I mean, you can adjust the height at the bridge of each individual string to kind of compensate with that, but it's really tough. And if the twist is like in the middle of the neck, like at the 5th or 7th or 9th fret, it's going to be really difficult because it'll play well in one position and then it'll fret out in another. As you work your way up the neck.
Yeah.
See, what I find is like as a person with ADHD, it's like. The calculus on whether or not to do it is this something I want to like get fully invested in and lost in for like a week, with disregard for everything else? And the answer is no. I don't care that much.
Correct is the answer.
And at the end of the day, it's just a PV.
What guitar was this on, Tony?
Well, the one that I made a mess of was my Meteora. So it's a Fender style.
Yeah, that's your new one. You got to do that right.
Yeah, I know. And it'll be, it'll be fine once somebody else does the work.
So you're going to put brass locking nuts on that then?
Yeah, exactly. And a Floyd Rose.
All right, Steve, what's going on in your music world?
Well, so I got a bunch of assembled circuit boards recently, so I've spent the past week or two just putting things together. It's just been monotonous. I've been listening to podcasts and just putting things together. It's been nice. But creatively, before that, I've got about 5 projects on the go right now. So that's nice. That's nice. With the part shortage, it's tough to predict when they'll come out, but I'm hoping early next year for the first of them.
Now, are you finding being in Canada that you're able to you have better access than if you were in the U.S.? No,
it's the same, but with more expensive shipping. Yeah, so I had to restock on my printed shipping, the boxes I put the pedals in.
Uh-huh. You do a nice job with those. Those look great.
Thanks. Yeah, I designed them like 3 years ago. They're kind of an homage to an album I really like, the Titus Andronicus Local Business album. It's kind of like, cream script on a background. I really like that. So, and I kind of felt that fit with my brand. So yeah, I really like them. I was thinking about doing a redesign, but honestly, there's nothing I would like more than how they already are. So
fantastic film, by the way, Titus, starring Sir Anthony Hopkins. Incredible film. Like 95.
I listened to this audiobook about the Spider-Man musical, which was directed by the same person who directed that film, I believe.
Oh, that's the same person that did the all the art for the Lion King
the Lion
musical.
King
yeah. For the actual musical.
Jimmy Tamor or something?
Yeah.
Julie Tamor?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That was a really weird tangent we just went on. Everybody's like, "What the hell? We're talking about guitars, you dummies!"
Where did that start? Boxes? So boxes. Yeah. So I went to order the boxes, and like the price of the boxes themselves, say like I'm ordering 1,500 of them, which will last me like a year and a half or something, or whatever. It was about $300 more total, but the shipping was more than the total for the boxes, which is probably more than 1,000% increase.
Holy moly!
So where do you order those from?
Packlane. I use Packlane.
Okay.
Boxes are weird because 1,500 is a small number in terms of a business ordering boxes, because people usually get boxes for like pizza boxes, which is you get like tens of thousands or something like that. But these boxes they're custom sized to fit in a mailer box conveniently, so I don't need to use a lot of packing material.
Right.
Just need to use a bit of newspaper. I used to have to use more less environmentally friendly stuff, and I didn't like that, so I kind of designed it around so I could use more biodegradable stuff. But yeah, because it's custom sized and because it's not a huge number, it's not something a smaller printing business can do easily. Yeah. So I got a local quote, and the number was the same as the total for printing and shipping from Packlane, which kind of sucks. Like, it's like $0 for shipping, but to print it, it's
super expensive.
Literally twice as much.
Yeah.
So I hopped on a phone call with Packlane today. I scheduled a phone call for today, and I asked them to manually. They said they'd manually get a quote for me because it's automatic quoting. But it's crazy. Like I don't know if it's a fuel price thing or what's going on, but it used to be like $300 for shipping for a pallet of boxes like that's taller than I am. But it was something like $2,000.
Wow.
For shipping.
Wow.
Well, so you just shared, yes, this is your plight. However, you just shared something that I think is a good reminder for people, especially those who are buying and who are, collecting or what have you. The prices that are set for a lot of pedals is like, these aren't giant companies. These are guys no different from you or I listening who just happen to be making their living, or at least part of their living, on creating these pedals. So they're not getting like massive manufacturing breaks on materials. It costs it's costing a lot more to make things now.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I'm trying not to increase prices. Like I really don't want to.
Right.
But
doing it for free isn't what you're trying to do either.
I can't say I never will because things are crazy. Like the price increase is crazy. I'm just kind of trying to wait it out and see what the trend is going to be, if things are going to go back down.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
It depends. And availability is another big thing. Like I have been putting in orders for microcontrollers. And so I put in an order about a month or two ago for microcontrollers that will ship in May 2023.
Oh my God.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm paying for them a year in advance.
You
have to, because if you wait until then, they're not going to be ready for another year or two.
Wow.
We're going to dip into that when we actually, talk to you a little bit more at length, because you kind of were edging out there towards some of the news that you have. So let's check in with Jared and swing by my neck of the woods, and then we'll get on with this thing. How about that?
So the situation at the house is different now than it was in Ohio, because my wife now works from home. And when I work from home, I can't I can't just plug the guitar in and the amp really loud whenever I want, like I used to in Ohio, because I worked at home in Ohio. So when Heather goes, my wife, Heather, she goes to the gym during her lunch break. She'll go to the YMCA to, exercise or whatever, do the dance class. She doesn't like loud stuff, like loud anything. So I'll put on a record. So this is my strategy, what I've been doing. I'll put on a record that I think she'll like, and I just play along with that. I turn my guitar stuff on, and I just play along with, like, I had Milli Vanilli on yesterday, that record, and I was playing along with Blame It on the Rain and all the old hits from that era before they knew that the two guys were not really singing. But it's actually a great album if you like the old hip, the old pop rock stuff from back in the day. And so I was playing along with that. And when I was done, I put the guitar down. I went downstairs. I played this other side of the album, and she walked in just dancing and having a good time. And I'm like, man, it worked. Now I could do loud stuff, and she likes it.
Now you just got to play along with Rain and Blood.
No,
that's right.
Slayer.
I think you need to put a little Al Green on.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd?
Well, I had a lot going on that I was going to talk about, but what I switched up to talk about was last night I had just a fantastic audio treat and a visual treat.
I know.
Yes, I went to see one of my absolute favorite bands.
Two of them.
X. Well, I said one.
Okay.
One of them was X. And they are, I guess, famously known for their song Los Angeles, but have written tons of fantastic songs.
Yes.
And I've brought this up before, but Billy Zoom, who is the guitar player for X, it was a huge influence on me.
And saxophone player.
And saxophone player, yeah. And he had some pretty heavy surgeries and health issues. So he has to basically sit on a stool most of the show. And he made his sort of, he's famous for his wide leg stance with his sparkle jet and his silver Gretsch and just playing this fantastic guitar. And so now it's like that whole persona is kind of gone. He's still playing up there. John Doe's, who's the bass player, is just, kicking tail up there. And I've seen him since he's had this, and he was sitting down and everything. The last two songs, like all of a sudden he got off his stool and assumed the stance, and the place went nuts because everybody that was there are fans of X, and they know that he doesn't do that really anymore. So that was it was a real treat because I felt like that was his connection with us out here. He's like, I know how important, I know why you're here, and I'm going to give that to you right now. And
did he kick the stool?
He didn't kick the stool, but he stood up there and he went as wide leg as he could, and he did his grinning and the whole night. It was great. And it's like, you could really feel like it was a back and forth love connection right there with the people in the audience. And then I got to see the Psychedelic Furs, who I absolutely love. And that was, I knew it was going to be a good show. I hoped it was going to be a good show because, hey, they've been doing this since the early 80s. Mm-hmm. And Richard Butler, I could not believe how strong his voice was. I mean, he sounded like the early albums, and there was no loss for over an hour's worth of show, and he was jumping up and down, and genuinely thankful. They do the song and they get the big applause back, and it was like he was getting it for the first time. It's like you could really feel the joy that he was experiencing singing these songs for his fans.
Nice.
And that was, it was really great to see that. Cause a lot of times, and I'm not knocking bands that are, it can be, I can only imagine how much of a grind that can be touring, all over, the country. But this seemed like a band that was like it was like the first time on the big stage.
Nice.
Like that's how they came across, and the music was fantastic, so good. And
is his brother Tim still in the band? Bass player? Yep.
Yes. Now, the runaway star of the show, the saxophone guy.
Huh.
Holy Moses, that guy wailed, and I can't remember what the high is. It the high C, where it's like the absolute highest pitch that you can get on a saxophone. And he was holding this note, and he was high, then he went higher, and then everybody's like screaming, and then he put his hand way above his head, and he hit this thing, and it just blew everybody away. Finished the song, and then he drops the sax, and he's just like both fists up going like, yeah, this is a saxophone player.
Yeah.
But he was killing it.
Nice.
It was so great to see it. It was like, that's why you go to a rock and roll show, man. I loved it.
Nice.
So thank you to both of those bands, because I'm sure they're listening right now.
Oh, yes.
And the guitar was fantastic, of course. So anyways, that's what happened. That was one of the things that happened in my music world this week. Hey, Tony.
Yes, Todd.
What do you think if Jared was trying to connect two pedals that he found in his moving experience?
He didn't even know that
he didn't even know that they were there. And he's like, uh-oh, how am I going to put these two together? What would he use? Because he's already got his pedal board's really tight.
Yeah.
But
really
see, the
tight?
thing is, it's tight, but he's got all these old patch cables on there. What should he do in order to get these last two pedals on?
You know what I would do if I were Jared?
What would you do?
I would go over to Tour Gear Designs and check out some of the new flat microscopic cables.
Well, a little bit bigger than that.
Well, not really microscopic, but I'd like to exaggerate a little bit. But the ends on these things are very, very small. The cable itself is very, very flat.
Yeah.
And it comes in just about any length that you would need and shape. It's got the S shape and the W shape.
And just like Henry Ford, you can get it in any color like you want,
So long as it's black.
As long as it's black.
There you go. Jared, do you like this idea? Will this help you out?
It sounds familiar. I think I've done this before. In fact, I did. All I used.
You're
all
ahead
I
of the
used,
game.
gentlemen. That's it. That's all I
if
used.
you want to be like Jared and get a lot more pedals on you can go to tourgeardesigns.com and load up your cart.
Load it up.
And you're going to be shocked at how much money you're not spending.
Why?
Then, because they're cheap.
Oh.
But they're fantastic. But then you're going to go in the coupon code, you're going to put the guitar knobs, and you're going to save 10%.
10%.
10% on your order, and they come out real quick. Okay?
Be like Jared.
Yes.
Be like me.
Thank you to Tour Gear Designs for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Jared?
Let me get a little bit of this.
Not you.
No.
Jared's back.
Let me show you how it's done.
Okay.
Let me get a little bit of this.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the floor. All right, Steve from Demedash Effects. What is your new and improved 4 on the floor?
Okay, so this is pedals I'm confused by, which is what I've been using lately.
Cool.
Basically trying to figure out more complicated pedals. And so in front of me, I have a Red Panda tensor, and I have no idea how it works.
Well, you're in good company.
I know how to use it for a pitch down effect, but anything beyond that, I just don't know the application. I get
but it can do so many things, right?
I know, right? I know, but I don't know what the use case is for any of those things.
But you still love it.
Well, that's the beauty of it, is I'm trying to figure it out. Because it's a popular pedal. People really use it, and I'm just trying to come in and kind of figure out what people love about it, essentially.
Yeah.
For the past few months, that's kind of been where my head's at. I just want to know why these popular weird pedals are popular. I just kind of want to figure out what people are doing with them, because I come from a musical background that's a bit more straightforward. Like I really like I finger pick guitar a lot, which is very cluttered, so it doesn't work with those ambient effects.
I thought you were going to say like King Crimson or something.
Well, I not quite, but like the people that King Crimson and like King Diamond influence, like I really like Megadeth and Metallica. Like I really like the riffing on that kind of stuff. So if I'm plugging in, putting a bit of dirt on that, I'm like, dense guitar parts. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like interesting to try to, push myself to learn to be a bit more ambient, to leave more space and let maybe an effect fill that up with something like, a tape going in reverse as the tensor will do. So that's been kind of an exercise.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you hit like the boards, like the Reddit or the Discord or anything like that to talk to people, or how are you going about your research?
Mainly just trying things out and occasionally watching a YouTube video. Mm-hmm. I really like Mark Johnson's videos. They're a bit long, but he makes decent sounding music with these very weird pedals. What I found is that a lot of the music that, like, if you go on YouTube, it's very experimental sounding, which isn't really my jam. Mm-hmm. But Mark Johnson makes like music that, like, to my ear sounds like melodic, semi-composed music, which I really dig, with these weird effects. So that's kind of like an interesting intersection.
Cool.
Yeah.
How about number 2?
The Habit by Chase Bliss.
Oh, okay.
And this thing drives me crazy because it's such a good pedal, but it's so meant for something that I am not acquainted with. Like, it's very much for experimental, non-composed music and inspiration.
For those that don't know what the Habit is, what is the core function of the Habit?
So it's a delay pedal, but it also has a 3-minute memory in it. So it records what you're playing. It does your delay echo thing. And then you can use its controls to do any number of things with that 3-minute memory, from having it loop back around like a sound on sound thing to just having it randomly play back snippets while you're playing. And like the use case of that, I don't get, but
right.
Like there is a use case for it, which is the thing. So I'm trying to learn these things. And I find it very frustrating, but like in a challenging sort of way where you're kind of trying to expand what you're able to do. So I like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Number 3.
Yeah. Number 3, let's see. We're going to go back to Red Panda with the Particle. And it's like a granular delay. So what that means is it chops up your playback and rearranges it and spits it out. So it's delaying your signal, but also rearranging it. And it does that in a number of ways with a few pitch shifting options. And again, this is one of those things where the use case is, hard to find for me.
Okay.
But it's interesting. Yeah.
Can I ask you, as you're using these pedals, is it, and if this is leading us into anything, is it for fun or is it for research?
A bit of both.
Okay.
Just kind of trying to expand my musical horizons. Trying to get back into playing. I've been not really playing a lot for the past few years. Uh-huh. Been more consumed by just building and designing, and I kind of want to get back into a creative headspace.
Right.
So I'm trying to just try new things because what I found was I'm getting back to guitar. Like I signed up for a few lessons, so I go every couple of weeks, and there's a local guy. He's really cool. And we kind of hang out, and he shows me a few things and kind of work on, stuff like my weak points. But I found as I'm getting back into guitar, with like my high point of playing guitar was like playing metal and kind of shredding and stuff. Uh-huh. And I find myself gravitating towards that place. And I kind of want to avoid just going straight back into that.
It's so easy to do that. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm trying to use these like devices and learn about them
that won't
to go in a
play
different
like that.
direction. Like to get to a point where I'm just as skilled as I was when I practiced all the time and played metal, but with a broader, more round musical aptitude, I guess.
Right. Interesting. How about number 4?
Number 4. Ooh. I guess the Zoya.
Oh, jeez.
I remember that one.
This one's just on my board, and it just blinks, and it's really pretty, and I'm just scared of it.
Yeah. Well, hey, I can't tell you how good that makes me feel, because you created a highly functional and I won't say complex in a negative way, but your T120 is, I mean, it's one of those pedals is like, that is a pedal that is not so simple.
I have like a very defined approach to UI. I think it needs to be a certain way that I don't think would let me design something like the Zoya. Even, I mean, not saying that I have the aptitude. This is a crazy pedal. But my approach to UI is more like, if you just get the pedal out of the box, you should be able to put the knobs anywhere and it should sound good. And there should be enough in there to keep you learning for a good while. Like, you shouldn't be able to figure it out all in one day, but at the same time, it shouldn't be confusing. There should be like a massive depth without the intimidation factor. You should be able to just set and forget if you want to, but you should also be able to continue learning and finding new things.
Well, and the point of the Zoya is that you're essentially, I mean, to a certain degree, creating your own effects in a bank of effects. So it is quite literally the polar opposite of what most of us buy pedals to do.
Absolutely.
And that's why that was one thing to make us feel like, wow, we're idiots.
Very humbling experience.
Yeah, it truly is. So if you are out there and you get it and you understand how to use it, holy moly, hats off to you.
I feel like the Zoya is like a marketable thought experiment.
Yeah.
Like, there was like, I might be wrong about this, but I believe they said they just gotten off of designing a really intricate MIDI interface. And Steve was thinking, well, what if like we just had like different sections that just talk to each other in MIDI and just kind of like, put them together and let people link them however they wanted. And so it just seems like a really cool experiment that turned out really nicely. And even just like the UI, I wouldn't call it intuitive, but it is absolutely beautiful.
It is, no doubt. And I mean, it is a bit of a marvel. And it just is, but it's a marvel that eludes myself and Tony and Jared.
I prefer to think of it as a Rubik's Cube in a pedal.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. A Rubik's Cube that you can't see the colors on.
With no YouTube
and you're doing it with oven mitts on. With someone else's hands.
Using a MIDI interface.
Yeah. Anyways, well, that's cool. I appreciate you sharing. That's an interesting take on a 4 on the floor. I'm glad that you did that with us. As we're going to start talking about this is, by the way, everybody, this is the interview part of the show. We're going to talk to Steve about the things that he's been up to, which I did have a precursor call with him to determine, hey, what do we want to do on the show? And that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. Before we totally get into that, you mentioned YouTube and who you... at least one person that you said, I really enjoy this. I'm curious, because I think that's one of the neat things. Like we all get influences from different things. We all gravitate towards different styles of communication or teaching or tips and tricks or inspiration or whatever. So I'm just curious. So are you getting, I guess, musical inspiration? You mentioned Mark Johnson specifically. Are there any others, not necessarily from YouTube or anything, that are doing that for you right now? Or any
I
bands?
really like, and I always put the S in the wrong place on her name. Jenny Owens Young or Jenny Owen Youngs. I can't remember where the S goes, but like she's a great musician, and I wasn't actually aware of her. She bought a pedal for me in 2019. And it was the first time I'd heard of her. Then I was like, oh, she's got a blue check mark or white check mark, whatever it is on Instagram. And looked into her. I was like, I really like her music. So like, no, it's cool listening to that. Yeah, no, it's just like the stuff here and there. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to force the issue. Just curious if there was anything specific.
I'm very weird. Like I listen to a lot of stuff, but like very surface level.
Sure.
Like I really like klezmer, like gypsy kind of swing jazz stuff.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
But so it's a little bit of everything. I've been listening to. I've been trying to learn a Megadeth solo recently.
Oh my!
The Lucretia solo, like Marty Friedman.
Lucretia's fantastic. Marty Friedman.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy's a beast.
Yeah. And so like for the past week, I've been doing it like 50 BPM. It's like I've got it. Yeah, I've got it. Like all the weird phrasing. Yeah, I've got it down. And then I listened to the song today for the first time in like a week, and like this is comically fast. I'll never be able to do this.
Yeah, yeah. And he does that weird like upside down hand picking thing.
Oh, I'm not even aware of that. I'm just like really impressed by his
like
articulation.
Most people are Vernon the same way that Vernon Reid played with his hand kind of inverted, so where the fingers are. Yeah, well, it's upstroke, but he's still. It looks like you're doing upstrokes, but he's doing downstrokes in that same position. So it's like this. Most of us have our hand sort of parallel with the strings, and his is twisted. Like if you turn the key, put your hand in. Everybody follow along. Put your hand in your picking position. Now turn the key so it's locked, and that's the hand position that Marty Friedman and Vernon Reid both play in.
Like picking?
Yeah.
Interesting. So he's hitting you with the side of the pick.
Well, their hand is just twisted so that it's almost like the pick is pointing straight up. It's bizarre. Check it out. If you're like, Novak, you're a bozo. What are you talking about? Go watch and you'll see. And maybe I didn't describe it perfectly, but I think it did a pretty good job. Tony?
I agree.
Okay, thanks. Anyways, well, Steve, so you have, on the I guess on the tail of creating some pretty fantastic pedals that got an awful lot of coverage and hoopla and all that business, and I'm pretty sure you did pretty well as far as like getting them moved out the door. You surely must be working on some new things, which we kind of talked about a little bit. And what can you share with us? Okay,
well, I feel like I'm kind of like an open book about this stuff. Maybe more than I should be. I don't know, because like you don't see companies like talking about this stuff, but I don't really care. So it's like, yeah, no, whatever. So what I'm working on is I've got 5 projects on the go. 3 of them are not guaranteed to ever see the light of day. But two of them are.
That was very hard for me to contain. I had a mouthful of bubbly water. Close.
So like,
almost
I don't mind
destroyed
talking about
my
this
mic.
stuff, but I don't mind talking about this stuff. But I will be clear that this, like, all this is subject to change, and I might decide I don't really care enough to actually bring this to market.
Okay.
But so one of them that I will definitely bring to market, because I've kind of teased it since like 2018 or something, was like this trem I've been working on. I've called it the retro harmonic. It's a stereo harmonic trem with kind of just an interesting approach to the modulation. I
like the name, by the way, retro harmonic. That's cool.
Yeah,
I don't know why. It just kind of is.
Yeah, no, I kind of landed on that. I kind of wanted something that sounded like because like, harmonic trem, but it also kind of sounds like a concert hall. Like, so I think what I'm going to do is like, because I really like how it sounds, I'm going to release both a mono and stereo version, because my fear is that with the stereo version only, it'll be a niche thing that'll be kind of hard to like manufacture and fund, because I'm not a huge company. Like my market share isn't huge. It's going to be tough to like fund this really expensive to make pedal and then count on like selling a ton of them when it's going to be kind of expensive to buy.
Made to order, maybe, huh?
That the thing is, that's kind of thing you can't make to order. You have to try to predict the number of sales because you have to get it manufactured. There's no way I can hand populate all the components on. Like, it's just too complex. But so that said, like, I want to, because it sounds so good. I figured the like stereo version can be kind of a niche thing. Maybe I can do like 50 a year. And that'll be cool. But like, it sounds so good that I can do the mono one and try to price that like reasonably. I don't want it to be the best sounding. It is the best sounding one. I want it to be in the same price range because then it will be the best sounding one in the same price range. It already is the best sounding one. The trick is just like getting it out there and getting people to know about it. You know, it's
well, we're doing that right now. So step one, take him.
Yeah, like I'm not like an egotistical person at all. This is just literally like the best sounding trim I've ever heard. So
awesome. Well, yeah. I look forward to hearing that myself. Just saying.
Yeah,
and then
so that's like the trim. So that's like the two projects.
That's really cool.
Because
let me ask you really quick before you get to the next thing. You talked about doing a stereo and a mono. Do you think there's a opportunity to work out where that functionality lies with the user? So you build in the possibility to either go stereo or mono based on the controls in the pedal, or how? Well,
they'll be entirely different pedals. Like one will be in like the normal size I make pedals in, and the 125B kind of slim, the Chase Plus size, and then one will be more like the wider, kind of like the electro audio experiments like Hypersleep or I'm not really sure of a lot of pedals in that size, but kind of the wider size, like the original generation losses.
Right.
It just because there's literally twice as many components because it's an analog thing. There's twice as many things. So yeah, they'll have like completely different designs on them, but they'll essentially have the same controls. I think the main thing is that one will be able to pan and one won't.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah, so the controls on these, like, it's interesting because I have it designed so it can work as a trem or as a harmonic trem. You kind of have the ability to sweep the control that changes where the LFO goes for the treble and the bass. Uh-huh. So if you have them both in the same like spot, they're going together and just your audio goes up and down and up and down. If you kind of move that knob over, the treble LFO is offset from it. So the bass goes up and down, then the treble goes up and down.
Right.
And you can put that like completely out of phase. You'll get your normal harmonic trem sound. But if you put it in a different place, it kind of sounds like a weird, like hump, like bass and treble, bass and treble, bass and treble. It's a little bit offset. So that's interesting. And then you can also have it, the emphasis control will let you like change the amount of depth applied to either channel. So you can have the bass just at a constant volume, but then the treble being modulated or vice versa.
That's cool.
You can change like which one peaks higher. Okay, so like if the bass is too loud, you turn like down the tone and it kind of like suppresses how that LFO is peaking. So it doesn't get as loud in volume. So that's just really useful. Right. Same like with treble. If your treble's too like it's kind of overtaking your signal. And then you can implement polyrhythms. This is the thing. It's beautiful because it's a digitally controlled analog effect.
Well, let me ask you really quickly. You just said two things that I want to make sure that we have listeners of a wide range of understanding. You've said LFO a few times. Could you just explain just very briefly what an LFO is and means?
It's a low frequency oscillator. So in any chorus or any trem, you have like that up, down, either like pitch up, pitch down, pitch up, pitch down, or like volume in, volume out, volume in, volume out. Uh-huh. Those kind of effects.
Okay.
Though that's like a low frequency oscillator.
Gotcha. And then you said polyrhythms. Why don't you explain that really?
Polyrhythms, can I demonstrate this? I've got a prototype on my thing.
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this one's like a little bit noisy, but okay, so that's just normal Okay, that's just a normal trem. So that both of the LFOs are overlapping. But I'm going to put in a polyrhythm. So you can hear there's kind of two rhythms going on there.
Right, yeah. So now that we've heard the polyrhythm, can you tell us what that is, just in layman's terms?
So the treble is going at a different rate than the bass. There's going to be 11 different settings, and there are ratios. So every time, say, the bass does 2 up-down motions, the treble does 3 in the same amount of time.
That's really cool.
And then as they both complete, they meet up, and they both drop at the same time. So you get these overlaid rhythms that don't necessarily line up to 4/4, but they just create really interesting patterns to the ear.
Right.
And the great thing about the stereo version is you can pan them so they're lining up in different places on both ears, and it creates this amazing surround sound like effect that I've never heard anywhere else.
That sounds fantastic. And, just from I guess a usability state, one might say, well, I'm not going to play a whole song like that, or I'm not going to play a lead like that, or maybe you will, I don't know. But it feels like that's something that you're going to use to sort of color the background of what's going on. That it would be very effective to do that, to give a lot of dynamic to something that doesn't have to be like out front. You may not even recognize what exactly is happening, but you may hear the total sound of all the instruments playing together and go like, wow, this is doing something and I can't put my finger on it.
Oh, absolutely. This is
I think that's
the
very
whole philosophy of like a lot of knobs that you can set and forget and find some really interesting sounds in there.
You know what that actually reminds me of, and one of the ways that I was going to describe, so I talked about the psychedelic fuzz last night, and we were on the way home, and I was asking, I brought my girls to go see it and everything, and they loved it, and I said, tell me what you loved about it, all that stuff, and we got to talking about, because I was leading the witnesses, and I said, one of the great things about them is that it is not, here's the guitar, here's the bass, it's like, it is acting very much as one, except for maybe the saxophone, which is almost like the lead instrument, really. But they're not like guitar band. It's not led by that, but they're all working together. So you can't really put your finger on who's leading who, or what is there even a riff. And when I was watching, the guitar, I was just like trying to pick out like what's going on. And he was really sort of creating more textures than, more so than like, hey, I'm going to do the lead or the riff or the rhythm or anything like that. And I just really appreciated that, because that is difficult to do. It takes a lot of editing to not have somebody out there leading the dance. You know what I mean?
So was he really pretty in pink?
Well, I can't speak for whether he is pretty in pink or not. He's a pretty good looking guy. I will give him that. Rich Good is the guitar player for Psychedelic Fuzz. But so he was playing this. Speaking of pink, he was playing a jazz master that was shell pink, that was revealing a little bit of sunburst underneath the shell pink, and also had a reverse headstock, like a small Strat style reverse headstock. It was an interesting guitar.
Well, I wonder if he was like used to playing like a Firebird or something.
He had a black one. He came out with a black Firebird, which I think that had banjo tuners on it though.
Banjo.
Yeah. Anyways, he also had a really nice Guild Starfire. That was really cool.
That's nice.
I like those.
Can't beat a Guild Starfire.
Yep. Anyhow, massive diversion, but the point is, atmospheric music. So back to you, Steve. We're talking about your trem and how it's creating all of these, the ability to create more sounds that are in the trem capabilities that don't just sound like a normal trem.
Yeah, I really like approaching things without adding. I don't know how to articulate this. I really like approaching an effect that exists already without adding a secondary effect to it, but kind of implementing the thing that's already there differently.
Right.
So say there's already a trem that has like an LFO. That's like a very old thing. There's thousands of them. Mm-hmm. But implementing that LFO with all these like neat ideas on how to control how it behaves. That I really like doing things like that. Like that really piques my interest. That's kind of what I did with the chorus. I did, kind of all the elements of a normal chorus are there, but the ways in which those elements can be controlled and they behave are different.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of a similar approach.
Interesting. So what else is cooking?
So there's this old synth called the Salina, and what it did was it was called the Salina, and it was before
Salina.
Salina. I think that's how you pronounce it. I may be wrong. I've only ever seen it written down.
Salina.
But Salina, and it was an analog synth, and it had this chorus ensemble, like string ensemble mode, and how it did that to make it sound like it was like an ensemble of strings was to have 3 very short delay lines in parallel and modulate them out of sequence with one another. So they're all like separated by 120 degrees. So one would go up, the next would go up, the next would go up, and they're all evenly spaced. And so it wasn't quite a motionless sound. They had kind of 2, like a faster LFO overlaid on a slower one. So it wasn't quite like dimensionless or like dimension C motionless, but it just sounds huge and it just sounds really nice. And so I've kind of been on this, low key mission to try to like miniaturize this thing for a couple of years now. And getting closer and closer, I kind of had an interesting thought on how to actually wrap it up into, a product, which was to not only have the Salina mode, which is the tri-chorus thing, but to sort of vary the output of each of the 3 lines. So you can do a rising sound. So it sounds like it's infinitely rising. You fade it out as it goes down, and then it starts going up. You fade it in. And with that kind of volumetric control, you can have things like you just mute one, and then you can do the dimension C chorus. Because it's a digitally generated LFO, you can control these things pretty easily. Or you can just have a single chorus or whatever. So it's really neat. Like I really like that. I'm just kind of getting it to a point where it's a unit I'd enjoy having on my board. I don't quite have it there yet, but I'm kind of getting it there.
Awesome.
So, yeah. I've got a really nice like graphical concept for it that I'm kind of excited about, but it needs to get there sound wise to be something I enjoy having on my board before I'm interested in actually putting it out.
And how far away do you think these are?
This one, okay, so the trem thing, I'm hoping for early next year. For cool. The Salina thing, that is a matter of when I'm happy with it. And I'm not happy with it right now. So,
Well, that'll keep you busy anyways.
Exactly. Well, and I find the best way to not release something bad is to just let things stew and sit on them if you're not happy with them, because you tend to come up with an idea out of the blue later when you're not thinking about it. That really inspires you to try something new, and then if that thing works, you kind of get a second win for it, and that brings it to somewhere you like. Trying to force something, in my experience, doesn't lead to the best possible outcome.
Yeah. Well, and who knows? You might get yourself out of the supply chain jam,
Well, yeah, we're all hoping. We're all hoping. It's been an interesting experience. So I've got, like, I'm dating this girl who lives in Montreal, so we kind of trade cities every month. And so every time I go out to Montreal, like, I hang out with Scott Monk from Montreal Assembly.
Oh, yeah.
And
Just on the show.
Oh, I'll have to listen to that.
We just released it.
Yeah, we hang out pretty regularly. And he's got this whole ordeal with trying to track down microcontrollers. That's really funny to listen to. He's a hilarious person. I don't know. I haven't listened to the episode, so I don't know how he comes across, but like, he's just like the funniest person.
Yeah, he was a great dude. We're really happy to have him on. And please go. And if you're listening, you're like, what? I haven't heard that episode. It's the one right before this, so that should be easy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. I'll have to check it out. I think he was telling me about that when I was
back to Canadians.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like a Canadian tuxedo right there. Kind of. Anyways.
No. Like, him and I have like very little overlap, but otherwise, like, I love doing something like collaborative with him.
Yeah. We are going to be rounding third here pretty soon. What's the one of the last things that you were got cooking?
Okay, so just like, hold on to your seats. Tap tempo overdrive.
Okay.
So my idea was like to put an LFO in the back end of an overdrive or a fuzz, and then have all of four parameters be modulatable. So you can modulate all four of them. And you have this like LFO going on in the background that can sweep them up and down if you choose. And then you can change multipliers to the rate. So you can have, say, kind of what I was talking about with the polyrhythms on the trem. You can have, but you select the multiplier on each parameter. So like drive, bass, treble, volume.
Oof. That's wild.
Yeah, so you can like create these weird patterns, and so with the Chase Plus stuff, they've got the dip switches, which are a great way to implement parameters, but aren't a great interface, in my opinion. They're very confusing to a lot of people, and I think a lot of people just don't end up using them. Which is not to slag on the implementation itself, because it's brilliant.
Right.
So like my kind of drive was to find a different way to modulate parameters. And so what I came up with was this way of putting like a second dial, like a little control under each. So you've got like the bass, treble, drive, volume, and then you've got a second control under each. And so in center position, that control does not move. It does not modulate. But if you start like moving it downwards, like the master LFO causes it to ramp downwards with the LFO. And so it's not just ramping all the way, it's just ramping a little bit. And how much you turn that dial dictates how far it ramps. So you can have it ramp all the way down, or you can have it just like wiggle a little bit. Same, like you turn it up, it goes upwards as the LFO goes up. And then you plug in...
It sounds like a shoegaze dream right there, man.
Sounds like what?
A shoegaze dream.
Oh, absolutely. It's just a really fun concept. Like, it's kind of one of those, like, this would be cool, like, if you did this. And it is really cool. I did a very, like, simple version of this as a Secret Santa thing in my Discord pedal builders group a couple of years ago. And, the guy really liked it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That sounds really, really intriguing.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. So it really comes down to whether or not, like, when I get my current concept prototyped, it's like, if I think this is kind of dumb, then I won't go ahead with it. But
no,
if I'm
do
like,
it. Do it.
Really cool.
Do it. Don't listen to your inner voice. Do it. Listen to my voice.
I never know until I actually hear it. This is why things take me so long. Because, like, I have these crazy ideas, but until I actually hear it, I don't know. I don't know if it's cool. Like, it's a cool idea. I don't know if it's something I'd want to use, or if it would just make me mad, make me want to not use it.
Well, maybe I'm not going to say more importantly, but at least parallelly importantly, if someone else likes it, that's cool too.
What I found is, like, if I don't like it, I'm not going to push it, and if I don't push it, nobody's going to hear about it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. That could make some of us sad, but that's fair. I understand.
Well, you won't be sad if you don't know, and if I don't like it, you won't.
Yeah, but now we do. You said it. It's out there in the ether. So
I said the quiet part out loud. Yeah, you're right.
yes. So we'll be expecting that. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
All right. Well, Steve, thanks so much for sharing your hopes and dreams and all the things that you're working on. They sound very fantastic. I can't wait for them to be out there for the rest of us to check out. On a less sad note than that was, we're going to swing by Jared's house right now because he's got something special for us.
That's right. And it's good to see you. Brought the old El Camino.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, it is. Just put new tires on it,
That's right. New treads. So it's time for our nice friendly game of Would You Rather. So this week's Would You Rather, it's very interesting, and of course you have two choices, and you must choose between the two because that's what Would You Rather is, and that's why we like it so much. Mm-hmm. You have to choose one or the other. So let me give you this scenario.
Uh-huh. Is it very interesting?
It is. So
and popular.
you've got, you're gonna love it. So all four of us are in high demand. We're professional musicians.
Okay.
And we're like Pino Palladino. We're the guys. You gotta have us in the band if one of the original member dies. Like the Who has Pino Palladino and all that other thing.
Guns for Hire.
Guns for Hire, that's right.
Okay.
So we have a choice, A or B.
A.
Gig number one. Gig number one is you're going to play with the Who.
Who?
You're going to play with the Who.
Who?
And the Who.
Who?
Okay, Tony.
The Who. You're going to play with the Who. But unfortunately, because you're running late, they have a different catering option for you.
Wait, is that unfortunate for us or unfortunate for somebody else that might be?
Just nothing but beans.
Yeah. Okay.
So the catering choice is either turned that fish that's about to turn. Actually, that's it. That's the only catered choice you have.
What is going on?
You have to eat,
right? Rotten fish.
You have to eat food. Or choice number two. The big gig is with a band that you don't really know, and the catering is like shrimp and lobster, and it's fresh and it's awesome. It's done by the best caterers in town, but you're not going to get paid all that much. And because it's like a real small gig. It's not as much. So would you rather go to the gig and play with the Who and gamble on your dinner, or eat a luxurious dinner and just play a mediocre, kind of thing that's not the Who?
Well, let me ask you this. Is there an option not to eat the food?
No, you must.
You have to eat the food.
You have to. That's the thing. That's the Would You Rather. It's based on gambling on a crappy food that might make you have diarrhea on stage.
So it's not guaranteed. It might make you. There's a chance.
It might. There's a chance. Or it's a Loctite guarantee that you're going to be fine and play with the band of nobodies that nobody knows who they are.
Okay.
I think I'm going to wear brown pants and go with the rotten fish and play with the Who.
You're brave.
Sorry it took so long to explain that Would You Rather, but I thought it was a really good one.
It's okay. Well, Tony, you love the Who, so
I do. I do love the two.
Okay, so you're going with option A.
I'm going with option B.
The Who and the questionable
with the potential diarrhea and possible food.
Okay,
questionable food.
All right. How about Jared?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to gamble and play with the Who. I'm going to take the risk that I'll either crap myself on stage or throw up on stage, and if it happens later after the gig, then it doesn't matter. Who cares? You got to play with the Who.
Who?
Stop.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Fair play. Steve, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm gonna play with Nobodies. I'd have a much better time.
Gotcha.
I used to have this nightmare where I was playing Rain and Blood on stage with Slayer, but I wasn't beyond my actual abilities to play it, so I could only play it at the current speed I could play it. And so I was just like, guys, slow down, guys.
Carrie King's
King was
not
just
into that.
giving me this glare.
Yeah. You want to know something really funny? Those who are familiar with Slayer, Carrie King is sort of like this, literally like a beast on stage, right?
Oh yeah.
I've actually ran into him a couple times out in the wild, but in Orange County, where I grew up, we were at Dave & Buster's, and I'm walking, and I see this. I see from far away. I'm like, I think that's Carrie King, and I'm walking right at him, and I got his wraparound sunglasses. I couldn't tell where he was looking, and he didn't look like he really was into being there, and certainly did not want to be recognized and be bothered whilst and at the same time he was there. So I just kind of walked right at him, and I just kind of gave him a little nod, and he just, just the barest of nods, like Dave & Buster's, metal god.
Yes. Probably playing skee ball or something.
No, he's just sitting there with his arms folded. He must have been waiting for somebody. But anyways, okay. So you're doing that route, and I think that this should be called the Who or the Who.
Who?
Because it's the Who.
Yes.
Or the Who. With the question mark, because we don't know who they are.
But they have good food.
We should have set that up at the beginning.
Oh well.
I'm going with
the Guess Who.
I'm going with the Who question mark, as we don't know. They're a relatively unknown band, but you know what I like about them?
Right.
They've got money enough for really good food.
Yes.
So I'm going with them because I do not want my legacy, having had food poisoning from meat and fish many times. I don't want anything to do with that.
Many times.
Many times.
Really?
Yes.
And yeah, the Guess Who is pretty awesome too, but they definitely did not fall in the band of nobody, so I couldn't use the Guess Who against the Who.
No.
How about Buckman Turner Overdrive?
No. We're not doing that. Okay. Hey, Tony, we need to thank a few people.
Well, Todd, we might want to thank a few people.
Yes, we need
tell
to.
me.
We need to
We
thank
want to.
That's right.
Todd, at this point of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Our executive producers make this show possible.
We love you.
Now, if you want to figure out how to make this show possible, go over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a sponsor, a patron of this very podcast. Yep. Each level comes with some very, very nice thank you gifts and giveaways. Did we mention giveaways? Oh,
got new ones coming up.
New giveaways coming up.
Yeah, it rhymes with Ur beer.
Your Ur beer.
Oh, you think Uber really weird?
Yeah.
It's the Canadian pronunciation.
Yeah.
But in addition to all the great stuff, there's some wonderful things and the giveaways.
Yeah, that's true.
There's one thing more. Todd, what is that?
You get to have their name on the thing.
No.
You get to have your name read on the thing.
Yes.
Thank you for that correction. Because if it was have your name on the thing, I wouldn't read them right now. But I'm going to read them just like this. So special thanks to these executive producers. Moon Guitars, Vader and Pedals, Drew Lopez, John Helverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Mike D, Richard Kendall, Mark Garton, Matt Hart, James White, Justin Jones, Anthony Gemalero, Bill Gola guitars, John Esterly, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lem, Michael Sanchuk, Ken Sayers, Doug Christ, Darren Gregory, John Anglin, Tom Brazen, Rusty Sneeden, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? David Poe, Don Kloss, Gregory Randall, Brett Hogarth, Eric Hemmer, Stuart George, not George Stewart, Stuart George, all the way from Wales. But Todd, stop interrupting me.
Ruffle and bustle.
Because there's another special group of executive producers. These are the creme de la creme. We call them our grand poobahs. They get all the neat stuff and then some. And actually, they have a fez that they wear upon their heads. And they have to wear it while listening to the podcast. So I hope everyone has their fez on.
While sitting in a vat of orange jello.
Orange jello. Ooh, that sounds like it might be a nice summer treat. So special thanks to these grand poobahs. Tommy Manasco, Ricardo Iguareda, David Kaminga, Brandon Wound Pickups.
That's right.
Hex Matos, Michio Murakishi, Bob Crouch, Jack Cadian, Sam Jett, Tyler Rhines, LSJ Music Company, John Williams, James Pennington, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Cody Foster, Science of Sound, Brian Robinson, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices, TikTok, your clock is running, Corey Nigro, Michael Van Zant, Tim Nowak, Jonathan Daly, Martin Cliff, Sean S. and Eddie Serratos. Thank you.
Indeed. All of you are so important to us. Truly, thank you so much. And yes, we've got more giveaways. And by the way, if you've got gear that you want to get in people's hands just because you feel like it's a nice thing to do, please give us a holler, and we will make that happen for you.
And if you got stickers and things and pics and other promotional items that you want to go out,
we want to put that in the boxes that go out to the people that are signing up.
Let's do it.
All right. We need to say a ginormous thanks to Steve Demedash. So thanks ginormously, Steve. Steve!
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You barely squeaked that one out.
Todd, I was wondering, where could people go to find things about Demedash products?
Well, let me tell you, as soon as I ask Steve here, Steve, where can people find you?
They can go to hell. No, they can look up my name online. I mean, it's a pretty unique name, so.
Yeah,
I've got a website and everything.
Website, Instagram, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Demedasheffects.com. It's DEMEDASH.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Effects, like the word. .com, like a website.
Yep. Word.
And if you type that into an internet browser, 90% of the time it'll take you to my site, and the other 10% of the time you probably spelled it wrong.
Try again. All right, Tony, where can people find you?
Yeah, just head over to pickguardian.com. Check out some of the things that I do that I have available for sale. What I do mostly, though, is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do, and I will take good care of you. Pickguardian.com.
Fantastic. And Jared?
Find me on the Instagram, jared.allen.brandon. And ask me stuff if you'd like. Thank you.
Perfect. You can send an email to me, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram at guitarknobs. And if it's addressed to any of the other fellas or all of us, I definitely share everything. We would love to hear from you, what's going on in your music world, what you like or even hate about the show. And also your would you rathers. Please send those our way.
Yes.
We've got fantastic guests coming up for you in the next several weeks. I'm very excited about our roster. Thank you so much to all of you who are continuing to listen. And if you're brand new, thank you for your brand new listenership. We're going to say a final thank you to Steve. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
And have a fantastic guitar week and subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Uncle Baloney.
Answer me when I talk to you.
Yes, Uncle Baloney.
Yeah, it's an art, not a science, though. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll see.
Except with some science. So,
Yeah, there's some science in there, actually. Yeah.
hey, Steve. I don't think.
Okay.
Todd is the microphone cop of the podcast.
Mike Cop.
Yeah. How's this?
That's actually worse.
Fantastic.
Steve.
Montreal Assembly.
Oh, hey, man. Heather wanted to get a trash can.
Wow.
Down here.
Save that for the podcast.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Actually,
Steve.
In my mind, as soon as you start talking into it, you sound like Ira Glass.
This
love it.
hour on Picture Frames, we're going to discuss picture frames.
All kinds. Square ones, rectangulars, with glass,
Yes.
without glass. I have a circular one, too,
All of them tell the story
of the picture
of the picture
and the frame.
and the frame.
Let's dig in.
All right. Jared's about ready to punch his own neck. Steve. Either you or Steve are clicking something. Either you're clipping your tongue.
I am clicking on purpose
knew
to see
it.
if you would get it.
Like we say both route and root.
Steve, you're back.
I'm back.
You're front too. Steve.
I just want to be Jared Brandon. I mean, I'll be Jared Brandon twice like I always am. That's fine.
Steve.
How does all of this relate to picture frames?
I don't know. I've lost. I just got fired from NPR.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.